Despite Asian Americans making just over 7% of the US population and Indian Americans making up just over 1% of the US population, you're seeing a rise in Indian American political representation. You think about Kamala Harris, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Tulsi Gabbard, or you know, a lot of politicians, Congressman Krishnamurthy. Um, but something interesting that I've been noticing, especially within the um, Indian American community, is the idea that uh, there has been a unique rise in conservatism that I have not seen been accounted by the mainstream news or many research papers and things of that nature. And I think, you know, though Indian Americans are such a small subsect of the population, they tend to congregate in a lot of areas. Think Edison, New Jersey, Chicago, San Francisco, the Bay Area, um, Texas, Virginia. There's a lot of clusters of Indian Americans, and they're only growing rapidly. So more and more politicians will have to account for the rise in, Indian American populace, and what their needs and what their political ideas tend to align with. But in terms of the rise in conservatism, I think you could look at a lot of factors. Um, Even though Kamala Harris is half Indian, um, she doesn't make that much of a talking point, which makes sense to me at least, because you're only accounting for 1.35% of the U.S. population, which is not really much voters. However, like I said, the numbers are just going to grow. So with that being said, you can take a look at the idea that um, the Indian American population is the largest. Um, the Indian American household tends to make the most amount of money compared to any demographic in America, including white Americans, Japanese Americans. You know, Indian Americans reign supreme. And then, obviously you can take that statistic and draw that clear link between conservatism and, having a wealthy populace. On top of that, I think something that there's a clear link that not a lot of people discuss is the idea of Indian conservatism in India itself. So you have Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who in my eyes is almost a Ronald Reagan-esque figure uh, for Indian Americans, promising, sweeping economic change, an increase in patriotism and especially nationalism, Hindu nationalism, the idea that India should be a Hindu governing state, um, pride in using, one language, Hindi, emphasizing a strong military presence, you know, the word India first, kind of like the same rhetoric as Donald Trump, the America first rhetoric. So this intense nationalism obviously carries over. Um, Narendra Modi still has about a 70% approval rating, which is the highest among all world leaders. It's pretty impressive what he's been able to do, especially running the world's largest democracy on planet Earth, possibly of human history. Um, so, you have these Indian Americans becoming really wealthy. You have them looking at, you know, um, Modi and what he's able to do with India, and then you have voices like Vivek Ramaswamy, who, you know, just by the allure of his nature of being Indian American, well spoken, charismatic, depending on who you ask, and all these types of things, all of a sudden bring that change and bring that that attention that Indian Americans and Asian Americans don't feel, that they cling on to, you know. But there's a fine line between just ringing the bell that I'm Indian American, than, uh, you know, standing up for Indian Americans. And I think Vivek Ramaswamy, I have to give credit where it's due. He's done an excellent job at, you know, not running with the idea that you should vote for me because I'm Indian. More so, this is how my Indian heritage has played to my thoughts of conservatism. I disagree with a lot of things, a lot of his policies and his rhetoric, but I have to give credit where it's due. And I think that's where people like Andrew Yang, who ran in 2020, banged, well, he almost rang the bell that he's Asian American so much. Like I remember, he was like, his whole slogan was MATH, math, make America think harder. And he always said, "Oh, and I'm Asian, so I know this, and I know a lot of doctors." Playing up to those stereotypes is not really calling to the Asian people. I think Vivek, especially took that from Obama really well. The idea that I'm not going to make my whole platform the fact that I'm a black man, but I'm going to use it to my advantage in a way to say that this is how it's played to my advantage. This is how me being a black man, represents strength. This is how, growing up black influences my policies, things of that nature. So as the Indian American population tends to grow, and as the wealth continues to amass because of this pro-capitalistic, pro-business mindset that a lot of Indians come into this country with, um, you're going to see a shift in my prediction of the Indian American population. And, I think it's something that politicians should be really looking towards on their radar because, not only is it the fact that there's going to be more Indian Americans, it's also the fact that they have a shit ton of money. So you're going to maybe see things like APEC, but, with an Indian twang to it, where a lot of wealthy Indian businessmen, you already see it in a lot of local politics, but I'm interested to see how that plays out on a national scale. And as always, I'm not endorsing any of the ideas that I'm saying. I'm simply pointing out something. So feel free to disagree. I'd like to know your thoughts down below. And thank you for watching. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.